All right, guys, this is DJ Wolf. Okay, what I want to talk about this morning is, as you all know, this is the week of Father's Day weekend coming up. I don't have any immediate plans, of course, you know, because this is the year of the coronavirus, and it's limited to what you can do because of the restrictions on these shops and restaurants and all that and what have you. And they slowly starting to do this with phase 1, phase 2 things where they're slowly letting people go back to the restaurants and all this stuff. Still no cure. No resolution for the coronavirus. Meanwhile, numbers are going up. That being said, do you notice a lot of the young men who've been murdered over the last several years, knows who they usually get to be the parent to speak out, or at least who the media puts out front to speak out as far as the parents. A number of these guys had fathers, not all of them, but a number of them did. Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, Jordan Davis, those guys had fathers. But if you notice, the media focused heavily on the mothers. And I mean very heavily on the mothers. And I was just reading that Jordan Davis and Trayvon Martin mothers are either been elected to office or running for office. Yeah. I forgot Jordan Davis' mother's name, but I'm assuming that Jordan Davis' mother and her father are not married or were not married. And I know Sabina Fulton wasn't married to Trayvon Martin's dad. So. But they always focus on the mamas. They don't really want to focus on the dads too much. If you notice, the media very rarely ever talk to them. You know? And this has been going on for a while. You know, every time you hear about a parent of one of these people being murdered, 99.9% of the time, they never talk to the fathers. They always talk to the mama, especially when the fathers are known. They never talk to them. You know, they put the black woman out front. They always do. In the media, they put Big Mama out front, as though dad never existed. In some cases, they weren't around, never been around. But in other cases, they're out there and they have been around, and they don't even talk to them. Now, in the case of Tamir Rice's father, that's another whole story. But, and he has been interviewed. He was only interviewed once, but they never actually interviewed him publicly beyond that. But what I'm saying is that even in 2020, the black father is completely being ignored by the media, no matter what. You know, look at Cosby. You know, Cosby we consider America's dad, television-wise, but they also try to vilify him with this thing about the drugs, and there was only one conviction, and he's doing 8 years for that very conviction. That one single conviction they got him on. You know. Meanwhile, power players like Weinstein virtually got off. And he really hadn't done any. He's not going to do it in real time anyway. Cosby's doing hard time for something they actually couldn't prove. Versus Weinstein, who they actually could prove from dozens of women who all said the same thing. You know? That's another whole story. My thing of it is that the media either tries to ignore black men or destroy black men in the media, in the mainstream media. They constantly do it. Look at in the case with George Floyd. George Floyd was an African American man at the age of 46, was murdered by a white cop. Come to find out, they had side beefs, which I didn't really know about until recently, according to somebody who I think it was an employer or somebody that worked with George Floyd when George Floyd was doing security with David Chauvin. They knew each other, and they said Chauvin, I guess, had a thing about being around black people. Don't know what the actual beef was between him and George Floyd. But the thing of it was that Derek Chauvin did murder George Floyd, and I don't give a damn what the fuck George Floyd did. I don't give a fuck if I don't care what he did. The bottom line is, you're a cop that's supposed to uphold the law, and when you bring a suspect in or a potential suspect in, guess what you do? You bring him to be arraigned. Then from arraignment, he gets locked up or whatever, bail or whatever, but eventually he has to go to trial. You know? That's called justice. Allow the justice system to work. If you would have ever wanted to work, allow it to work. You know? But the media wanted to vilify George Floyd as well. Oh, well, he had COVID-19. He had predisposed issues when he died. All this other bullshit. They try to tell you it was everything except the choking from the knee. You know, black fathers need to be respected, just like any other father. You know, it's always the case when you have issue with certain fathers that, especially in our case, they want to make it like that for make it look like, oh, that's the way all black men are, and we get vilified. See, it's a build of distrust of black men through the media, but this has been throughout history, from slavery on up. Don't trust that black man walking down the street. Don't trust them black men walking down the street. I'm gonna say this: white people should know better. Usually, if you go in a black neighborhood, and most black neighborhoods, if you're a couple of white guys go in there, black people usually ain't gonna fuck with you. I can tell you right up front. They usually don't. But y'all put that stigma out there that it's all about that all black men are susceptible to this. You know. Y'all wrote this off a long time ago. You know, and continue to do so. That shit ain't right. You know. Black fathers matter. They're talking about doing a special thing out here in D.C. about Black Fathers Matter. I'm going to try to look into that. I found out in the local news station out here. And they were talking about that yesterday. I'm going to look into that. Because we do matter. The stigma, you got to get the stigma off. We got to get the stigma off our back. That we're, you know, because the majority of black fathers that I know or known of, include my own, mine did, you know, this here, this, that here, whatever. But they were always fathers first to their kids. You know? My dad used to run the streets and stuff sometimes, you know, well, you know, and during his heyday. You know. Or whatever. But that's not what I want to know him for. That's not who I remember him for. You know, he wasn't just somebody who just once every blue moon or once every month come by and see you and then roll off. My dad was very much in my life. The stigma is created by white supremacy about black fathers and black men in general. part of that problem is from economics. You know, where you force black fathers not to be around the families, go out there and seek work elsewhere, and if necessary in other cities and other towns, other states, because they can't afford to take care of the kids and the family in the other state. You know, slavery was the number one reason why families are separated in the first place, because the auctioneers would not auction families all together; they would auction them off separately. That's why for a lot of us, our genetic, our ancestry is so messed up, because you don't know who you're part of or where your roots is actually from. See, what it is that white supremacy has screwed us so bad that I'm talking about throughout history, that of course, when it comes to our history and talking about race relations, they don't want to talk about it. See, they know the history. I was watching the Oprah, and I meant to talk about this too. Oprah did a special on her own channel. Where do we go from here? And it astonished me that she had all these so-called experts and mayors and stuff on here, and scholars and all of that, and then they never came up with an answer. You know, all they were saying about the history and Dr. King and all the people who were murdered and blah blah blah, and how, you know, we would just talk about it. No real solutions at all. I was totally disappointed. I saw both nights, and I was totally disappointed. Oprah did not have one, and I mean not one, victim of racism on it. Not one. Not a one. She didn't interview not one the whole time. She didn't interview no politicians about legislative changes. They didn't even talk about it. You know? They didn't address it. It was about policy. They ain't talking about policy. They talked about, you know, what it means to be black and our black history of people doing this and all that. We know about that. White people know about that. Damn it. The problem is that we don't want to elevate the conversation. And what I mean by elevating the conversation, especially when it comes to black media. It's old black media, they call it. BETs and owns, all that. They don't want to elevate the conversation where we're talking about policy. Real policy changes. Not that chokehold law bullshit, because that's some garbage. You know? A chokehold law. Okay? That's just a way to quell people from getting upset, because they don't really want to make any real policy changes. I'm finding out more and more the lawmakers are out to protect the police than they are to protect the people. You know? Don't get me wrong. There should be policies in place to protect officers, but there should be policies in place to protect people as well. You know? Especially from officers breaking the law. If you don't put a policy in place to prevent officers from breaking the law, the people who swear an oath to protect and serve, then what good is it? What good are they? And that's why I can understand why people don't want to, why people want to defund the police. Because they're not serving us in the community the way it's supposed to. Not based on their code of conduct. Not based on their sworn oath to protect and serve. That I can understand. Otherwise, there's no real reason to defund the police, because I'm actually pretty much against that. You know, but you do need sweeping policies in place that will criminalize officers for bad behavior. And I don't mean just getting fired or just getting suspended or just being on administrative leave. That does nothing. That secures a pension. How about immediately taking away, for minor infractions, immediately take away their pension? Hurt them in the pocketbook. That's where you start. And for more severe criminal infractions, jail time. Bottom line, why should that be hard to do? They don't want to do that. But then they figure, well, everybody will be saying the cop did this, cop did that. We be in jail all the time. That's why you got body cams. Body cams will eliminate the process of you having to worry about any criminality at that point anyway. There were cases that were open and shut. The George Floyd case is very much an open and shut case to me. You got 3 cops sitting on his back. One of them has his knee on his neck and in a yoga position. I saw it. His legs were crossed and his knees was one knee was on his back and the other knee was on his neck. Come on. That's open and shut. Open it, lock him up, close the case. That's not hard to figure out. It's obvious. But y'all don't want to do that. You want to protect the officers. No matter how bad their behavior are. That's the problem I got. But it's obvious that white supremacy isn't on that. They don't care about black men. They don't. We're not equal to them. We'll never be equal to them. And black fathers are the ones that the black men in general, they're the ones that are targeted. And I gotta say this, the one about Rayshard Brooks. And I know I said that I don't know if I'm kind of on the fence with it. In a way, I felt it was justified because he did attack the officers, But did they have to shoot him? My answer on that is no. But I can understand why. You took officers a weapon, It's a non-lethal weapon, but it's a weapon nevertheless. You could use it to incapacitate somebody and take advantage of that person. And that's why I don't feel too bad saying that was justified. But I normally would say that otherwise. But for some reason, I felt it was a little bit more justified than not. Now, shooting them 3 times, there's no justification for that. No. That's just outright murder. I'll say that. But would it have been justified otherwise? Yeah. I mean, that's just my answer on that. Now, I know some people don't like it, but hey, whatever. Yeah, we talk about we want justice. Okay, well, we want justice, then sometimes you need to actually tone it down a little bit. Okay? Take it to court. That's what you do. You're not going to just, Rayshard Brooks should have known that that's not a fight you're going to win. That's not a fight you're going to win. You're not going to win trying to fight 2 cops with guns. Let alone 1. Definitely going to win it with 2. I'll say that. I'll be honest. I can't go on defense for every black person who gets stopped by a cop. I'll defend them when they're wrong. But I can't necessarily defend them when you're wrong. And I can never not necessarily defend them when they're wrong. But when you know there's a chance that you might get shot by doing what he did, I can't defend it. I just can't. And this is a man who was a father of 3 or 4 children. Even though I don't think he was married to the mama. But still, nevertheless, the man. He was father. And as a fellow father myself, and this is me, if it was a situation where we had a casual talk, which they did, and they took the breathalyzer test and found he admitted to drinking, you might as well comply. You have a choice. You don't have much of a choice at that point. And you're a father. Think about your children, man. black folks say, well, they could have just did that. Well, he could have just did that too, because I know they know they're saying everything what the cop could have done, but what about what the suspect himself could have done? He could have just chilled out, complied, called his sister who was right around the corner. Okay? Or he could have, but it was just a bit more than it should have been. I'll say that. There's things that could have been avoided on both fronts. As much his as it was the officers. I'll say that. That's for damn sure. I don't care what anybody say. And I know some people say, you probably never been arrested by a cop. Yes, I have. I've been arrested by a cop before. I know. And it wasn't completely my fault. But I did comply. I did go to a judge. I was facing a 1-year sentence myself. But I got suspended. Sentence got suspended. Never dealt with that person much after that. That's what happened to me, but that's no. They tried to charge me with second-degree assault. It was actually went down to a third degree. It could have been a misdemeanor. I could have done a year in jail. But the thing of it was, though, you got to comply. You have to comply, man. You're not going to win against a gun when it comes to you not having a gun. On top of that, and you were two officers who were arrested you. You're not going to win with that. You're just not. As wrong as they are for doing what they did. Rather be tried by 6 than carried by 12. Bottom line. Y'all got to think about what y'all doing out here in the streets, man. Think. Stop thinking with your emotion. Think with your common sense. That's what we don't do enough of anymore, man. And that's where in lies the problem right there. Alright, guys, that's all I got for right now. I'll be talking more about it later. And I will be talking more about black fathers, why black fathers matter. I'm going to do a week-long podcast about this. So, with that in mind, this is DJ Wolf.